I'm Sophia,
I'm Alex,
and you're listening to Boss Babe Breakout.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Boss Babe Breakout.
Hi guys. First, I just want to say thank you for all the support we've got. Anyone that's messaged us about the podcast.
Big love. Thank you very, very much appreciated.
I think we both said we didn't care whether it was 10 views, 20 views. But
No, we got a lot more than expected, which I was very, very surprised about. So thank you.
Also, pre-warning, technical difficulties. We didn't think about the mic situation for our special guest today, but I think it's all the authenticity of it.
Yeah.
It's raw, it's real, starting from the bottom as always.
So, like we said, we have a very, very special guest today. The one and only Sylvia Andreu Goddard. Hello, Sylv.
Hi, guys.
Thank you for joining us today.
You are very welcome.
How do you feel that your two daughters are going to be rich and famous?
Well, I'm hoping that you are, so you can help me out in life.
So, we're going to start with a little Q&A for you.
Okay.
So, if you can tell us all the nitty-gritty stories of your life. Where did you grow up, and what were Yaya and Bops like with you?
I grew up in White Hart Lane, so I'm a Tottenham girl, really.
The ghetto.
Growing up with Greek parents, very, very strict, too strict. I wasn't allowed to really go anywhere. I wasn't allowed to sleep over anybody's house under any circumstances, including family, really. They were really, really strict about that. So it was quite tough because I was going to school and all my friends were, they were English and their parents weren't so strict. So yeah, it was hard growing up with Greek parents. But I get it now. I didn't get it then. I get it now.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think that made you different with your parenting?
Yeah, 100%. I understand the strictness comes from a place of love. I understand that now. I didn't understand that then. I hated Buckle growing up. I thought he was just horrible, strict for no reason. But when you grow up and you start to realise the dangers in the world, yes, I understand it come from a good place. But I also knew what I was like because how strict he was. So he might have been strict, but I still got up to mischief. I still done naughty things, probably more than what I should have done. But that was because I believe he was too strict with me.
Yeah.
And I promised I wouldn't make that mistake with my own children.
The stricter the parent, the more rebellious the child.
Yeah.
How did you and your siblings get along growing up?
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, me and my brother, there's 2 years between us. We grew up actually really close. Like, we were always in each other's rooms. We were always playing. It was nice. And then Zoe came along 8 years later. So for me, I had a real life doll. I was still only 8 years old and I played babies and whatever. So it was fantastic that she fit in my little pram. I had a Silver Cross pram. I say little, it wasn't little. And I used to put her in it and push her around the living room. And I never forget, I used to feed her pork scratchlings, probably, and I would obviously, when you're playing babies, you want the baby to eat on cue. It's not when you're hungry. So I would make sure that I picked all the things that I knew she loved. So even if she wasn't hungry, she would still eat. And yeah, she was part of my game. Andrew used to use her as a pulling technique because, him walking around with a baby in the pram, all the girls would love that. So he actually loved pushing her around and saying, look at my baby sister. So yeah, we got on really well. And to this day, we still got on really well. I'm very close with my sister. She's like my baby, to be fair. Like we're tight. I love her like I love my kids. We're really, really close, but going back to the strictness, I'm going to go back to having a strict parents. I have obviously watched my kids grow up and been part of that. And I was never that mum that said my kids would never do that. Yeah. People were judging me being Greek, oh my God, you're letting her go out. Yeah, she's allowed out. She's allowed out. And she doesn't need to go to the park to get drunk like your kids who are lying on a park bench and you think they're sleeping at their friend's house. I'm buying my kid the wine.
Period.
Yeah. I'd rather it not be a taboo thing, because when I feel like you're not allowed to do something, you want to
You
do
wanna do
something
more,
yeah.
even more.
I feel like now, 'cause I don't drink a lot compared to the rest of my friends, because I've always been allowed to do it, so it doesn't.
No, but that
it's
see, I wasn't allowed to do it.
Yeah.
So
You
I
know,
was so sneaky.
Now you're a pisshead.
I'm not talking about like, I'll buy you a bottle of wine and go and get pissed every night,
Yeah.
but in moderation. Like if you were
Yeah.
going out with your friends on a Friday night to the park I'm not silly. I know there's going to be smoking. I know there's going to be drinking. I know there's going to be weed and stuff involved. I never really worried about that. I knew you tried weed. You obviously, you come back and told me. But I think because I gave you the tools to know how dangerous it is and what it can lead into, you made your own mind up. I instilled that in you and you never went down that road. A couple of drinks, why not? At the end of the day, what's going to happen? I know that you've had a drink. You're not frightened to come home. So God forbid if you're going to be sick in your sleep, I'm there and I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
So, I feel like that was my way of parenting. And, looking at both how my girls have turned out, I think I've done a good job and
Great
it was the right
job.
decision.
So you know how I was at school. What were you like at school, considering you had strict parents?
I was a bastard. I actually was. I was so naughty. I was always in trouble. Yeah, I was always fighting. I was always bunking. I wasn't really good at school because school was my outlet where people would go to school and come home and play out after and see their friends. I didn't have that. So like when I got home from school, I was allowed to have a friend over. As many friends as I wanted were allowed to come over. But what friends want to come over and sit in your bedroom when they can be sitting in the park drinking or flirting with boys and doing makeup and getting dressed up? So as I got older, that part became a lot more difficult. And I had my sister who was a spy. So, mum and dad had clothes factories. They worked late and like Zoe was always kind of with me. So when I was 16, she was 8. She was like the Sun newspaper. You had a conversation and that bitch would repeat it word for word back. There was, so I then started putting her on punishment. I was like, hey, I want to have a cigarette. I'm going to have a fag with my mates. So I would sometimes just make things up. Right, I just saw what you done. I didn't. Yes, you did. Go to the corner, sit with your hands on your head, time out for 5 minutes so I could have a fag with my mates, Are you smoking? No, absolutely not. So, it was hard. And I never forget, we had this thing. We've always been brought up not to lie. My mum's a church goer, you tell the truth and you deal with the consequences, you don't lie. But obviously I needed Zoe to lie. There was no boys coming into the house or anything. So I used to say to her, right, you have to lie for me. Otherwise I'm going to get in trouble. Bupple's going to hit me with a dog's lead probably. But I'm not allowed to lie. No, Zoe. What we have in life is a white lie and a black lie. You don't say the black lies because they're the severe, they're heavy grade lies. The white ones you're allowed to say. Oh, really? I used to say to her, yeah, of course. I said, it's like when Yaya goes shopping. If she buys a pair of shoes that were £300 and she tells Bupple they're 150, that's a good lie. It's what we call a good lie. It's the white lies. Oh, okay. So, that was something I used on her pretty much. Ask her. She'll laugh if you ever have her. And, the things I've done to her was quite funny. So,
do you think your upbringing influenced how you raised your own kids?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. In a good way as well, to be fair. I was always brought up in a very loving household. Dad idolised my mum. Mum idolised us kids. I'm not saying that Dad didn't, but it was Mum who was, she was the bone of the family. She would take us. She would watch us, the ballet, dance school, whatever. It was a very traditional family. We grew up. We had good food. We had good memories, good times. And I'm lucky really because a lot of the old traditional Greek men, I'll be honest, it might be a stigma. They used to hit their wives back in the day.
I feel like that's like more of a foreign thing in general.
Yeah, it was known. I've never ever seen my dad. Well, he never has. She would hit him back hard, but he's never raised his hand to my mum. We've always been brought up really, really loving, and he's always where there's a will, there's a way. And I've always, I live by that. And I say that to my kids, where there's a will, there's a way. And everything in life, I believe, happens for a reason. Good and bad. I've had some bad things happen to me in my life. But now I can reflect back and think, I can see why why God made that happen. There was a reason to it, you know. So, my upbringing it's kept me out of trouble as well. Even though I say I was naughty, but I knew boundaries.
Yeah.
I always knew when to pull back, you know. But you know, there's a couple of stories I could tell you about that. But you know, my first love, he was a druggie. Unfortunately, he mixed with the wrong crowd, and he got into crack and he got into heroin, and it was a very, very sad watch. You know, and I'm not saying I wasn't there and I wasn't present, and I never tried heroin, but you know, I did dabble in a couple of things, and when I realised, oh, actually, you know what, I like this feeling. I like this feeling of freedom. I knew it was a big mistake, and I knew what could happen. And I remember going home and saying to my mum and dad, I tried drugs today, and I liked it, and I've woke up the next day and I'm thinking about it, and it keeps playing in my mind. They put me straight on a plane to Cyprus, 6 weeks holiday. Yeah, you're going on holiday, lovely, and it was lovely. But when I came back 6 weeks later, what I found, I will never, ever, ever believe. You know, I went looking for my boyfriend of that, you know, that time, and I saw him on a stairwell, you know, with a tin can, looking for bits of crack cocaine rock that he thought he might have lost, with a black ring around his mouth, his eyes all set in 6 weeks. And I was like, oh my God.
It's so mad how they did that though. They took you away. Like, you wouldn't think that would do anything, but just in that time you saw what happened.
The difference.
In a short space.
Yeah.
That taking, you know, drugs is...
And it'll be better than them just saying, oh, you're grounded, because you would have just come out and done the same
I
thing.
went on a family holiday. Once you're at the sun, the sea, I wasn't that far in. This is what I'm saying. My upbringing, the church, you know, the way I was brought up, I could speak to my mum. My dad I was scared of, but my mum I could tell things, you know, and I'd say to her, Mum, I tried this, and, you know, she knew straight away, we've got to get her out of there.
Yeah.
And they got me out of there, and because I'd only tried, I don't know, 3-4 times, it wasn't enough to take me completely. Had I stayed in the area, I honestly believe it would have done.
Yeah.
You know, and when I come back and looking with a clean view and, like, you know, clean eyes to see what he'd become, I thought, oh my God, what's happened to you? And that put me off. I thought, never, ever again, ever. And, you know, and yeah, I suppose in that sense, it saved me. You know, I've been in a couple of sticky situations. You know, I'm not a drug taker. I never have been. But I was at someone's house that I knew, and someone thought it'd be funny to spike me with a little bit of speed because I didn't take drugs. But someone else within their circle actually thought that was funny to do it as well. So they both spiked my drink. I was choking on my tongue. I thought I was dying. And, you know, my best friend, I'll never forget it. She put me in a baby's pram and she pushed me around the block, and I was drinking out of a baby's bottle to try and, like, get me to come round, orange juice. That, you know, that for me was, no. I moved away from that, and drugs is not my thing. You know, I have anxiety taking antibiotics. I kept away from that. I don't even drink. It gave me anxiety. That triggered my panic attacks. And from that, I stopped drinking. I have a social drink, as you girls know. I might have 1, 2, 3. I know my limit.
Yeah.
I will never get to a stage where I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm going to be sick. They're my rules. As soon as I start to feel a little bit, you know, that nice warm feeling, that's my stop point. And I'll start drinking, like, just, you know, normal Diet Coke or whatever it is. But, no.
So, moving swiftly on, what have your jobs been like? Because you're doing aesthetics now, you've got your own business and it's popping off. What kind of jobs were you doing before, and have you got any stories?
Oh, well, my first job ever was for a place called Soul Crown Systems, and it was a fax paper and office supplies. So I landed this job. I was 16, an office in Edmonton. I still kind of remember this script. It was like, hi, my name's Sylvia from Soul Crown Systems. Can I speak to the person who's in charge of your fax paper? No, I don't even know why I remember that, because we're talking 31 years ago, right? So it was like cold calling and sales. So you'd ask them what fax, machine they had, a photocopying machine, and then like you would tell them that you could get them a better deal. And do you know what? It was a vibe. So you were in this office, just picture this, like 15, 16 of you, you're quite young. The boss is an absolute Fruit Loop, right? He's sitting at the desk drinking and smoking fags like a chimney, because you could smoke in offices them days, yeah? So like you would make a sell and then you'd ring a bell, you'd jump up, run onto the board and ring a bell, like I've sold blah, blah, blah. And then he'd throw you a box of 20 cigarettes as a bonus.
Must be nice.
It was a crazy, crazy fit. You know, so like I was 16. I was like, oh my God, I've got all these friends. This is brilliant. I was sitting at my desk smoking cigarettes, drinking. It was great. I mean, I loved that. That was my first job and I absolutely loved that. I was there probably for about, I don't know, a year. Then the company just folded and I ended up leaving there because it was commission based as well. So if you didn't sell, you didn't make money.
Yeah.
But I think my mum and dad secretly wanted me. I must have smelled like a chimney when I come out of there. But that was a great first job. So yeah, that was good. Second job was Rentokil, pest control.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah. Now I hate any kind of wasps, bees, rats, mice, but I got this job in the office. So yeah.
Your mic woman.
They decided, now I was 17, that there was a Christmas party. So the girls in my office who were a little bit older than me was like, yeah, it's a Christmas party. And they were having a charity football match against different offices.
Yeah.
And then we were going to have a meal and a party. So I was like, obviously, I've got to go, Dad. He was still strict. I've got to go, it's work. Okay, you make sure you come home at this time. You don't come home alone. All of this. I was like, yeah. I'm out with English women, okay, who are a little bit older than me, who have no curfew, no time to be home. And I'm trying to be the cool one, yeah? So I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. This, you know, I think it was in Putney. It wasn't near. It was across the water somewhere. So anyway, we went to this thing, and I'm looking at the time thinking, shit, I was supposed to be home at 10:30, and it's 10:30 and we're still here watching a charity football match. Something like, just take the beats. When you get home, you get beats, just take them.
Just take it, yeah.
And stay. So I've got this girl in the office who's supposed to be coming back my way because she lives near me.
Yeah.
She's got chatting to this guy. I'm talking fishnet stockings, up the bar, like legs open, red lipstick all across her teeth. I'm in a state. I thought, this bitch ain't coming home with me. She's going home with him. Now, how do I get home? Like, what do I do? Do I phone my dad? Do I not phone my dad? He's going to kill me. Like, I know I'm going to get in trouble. And that is what I'm saying about, I didn't want to bring my children up like that.
Yeah.
The fear inside me, I was thinking, shit, I'm going to get beats for this. I really am. I didn't, you know, what do I do? And in the end, I did. I phoned up and I said, look, Dad, the woman I'm with has got drunk. She's falling all over the place, blah, 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 blah. And I don't want to lie to you. I just want to come home. I don't feel comfortable. And he was like, well, my dad, like, you know, he'd like a scotch of an evening. He went, okay, I'm going to call a taxi. Your mum's going to call you a taxi. Give me the address where you are. And they did. They called a taxi, picked me up, and they paid for it the other end. But that was a vibe. And I left that job 2 days later. I wasn't allowed to return. So that one was pretty good. I've done all sorts. You know, I was a single parent bringing up 2 kids. I've cleaned toilets. I've cleaned offices. I've worked on a burger van. I've worked in a diner. I have done anything I had to do to just earn money for my kids, to be fair. You know, I didn't want them to ever feel like they were missing out because they didn't have a dad. They didn't need a dad. They had me. I could do mum and dad. But I suppose in some respects, I overcompensated. I didn't want, because you think about it, like a child that comes from mum and dad family will get Christmas presents from mum's side, from dad's side. Like, you know, they end up with quite a few Christmas presents from both sides of the family. I didn't have that. I had a sister and a brother. So my kids were getting from a sister and a brother. And one auntie, I think, used to like buy them. That was it. Like, there was no way I was having my kids feel like it left out.
Yeah.
So my rule was £1,000 each on each of them, from babies, really, from about the age of 7, every Christmas. And it would kill me. So if that meant I done double jobs, I done clean. I done whatever come my way, really, just to like provide, you know. And then I met my husband. And my life changed. It changed for the better, financially, emotionally, all of that. But that opened a doorway for me. And I'd done an eyelash course, and then from doing the classics, I went on to do the hybrid course, and then I'd done a Russian course, and then that opened up another door for me to go into aesthetics, which I'm doing now, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's taken a little bit of time to grow the business, but I'm happy with what I'm making, and I'm happy with my work.
Yeah.
I think you've got to love what you do, and I'm actually loving what I'm doing for the first time.
What do you think the biggest challenges have been since you started it up? Because I know, wasn't it when you started there was a woman that tried to like sue you and everything? Like, you just get these weird people.
Yeah, so that was eyelashes, and that was when I first started up. So you advertise, and the only way I could advertise was on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's where you get all the weirdos.
So like I'm on Facebook Marketplace and I'm advertising, and I clearly said it was an introductory offer. It was a model price, not for my time, just for my products, whatever, blah blah blah. So this woman comes, she's laying on the bed and we're lashing, and we've got talking, and she's like, "Oh, it's my first time I've had lashes." I was like, "Oh, okay." She was like, "Yeah, because my partner don't like me doing things to myself." And I thought, oh, here we go. I hope he likes them. I hope he's not too mad. So she's saying all these things about her partner and whatever. And she was saying that she'd moved in with him and she regretted giving up her place. All of this stuff was like kind of said. Didn't think too much of it. I thought, oh, you poor thing. Finished her lashes. She's looked in the mirror. Oh my God, I love them. Thank you so much. So I was like, yeah, no problem. She wanted to bank transfer me, which I didn't have no problem with. She's come downstairs and couldn't get on the internet, so I've let her into like my living room, open plan kitchen kind of thing, to get the Wi-Fi passcode for her to log on to her banking app to pay. And I'm seeing now her eyes are kind of clocking, and she was like, "Oh my God, that table's in fish pools," and this, that. And I don't know if that's what sparked it or whatever it was. Anyway, she left here happy, no problem. The next day, she sends me a photograph, all like that. One eye all scrunched up, no eyelashes on it. Looked like sorry, I'm just going to say it. And I'm thinking,
Get bleep.
oh my God, what's happened to you? And she's like, I don't know what's happened. I said, well, there's no way your eyelashes could have fallen out completely out of one eye.
Overnight.
Yeah. And the other eye, they're perfectly in there. This doesn't happen. So she was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to go and see an ophthalmologist. I can't start my new job. So I said to her, come back to me. Let me review. If I feel that you need to go to a hospital, I will tell you, but I can remove. She made every excuse not to come to me. She couldn't see to drive, but she could see to get to casualty. And that to and fro, I offered to give her a refund, although I shouldn't have done. But I just thought, well, I'm new to this. I was panicking, really. So
I lose my job.
Yeah, it was about 3 weeks later. No, about 2-3 days later, she hits me with, "I hope you've got good insurance. Can I have their name?" I was like, what the fuck? You've got to be kidding me, right? Well, I didn't have insurance. If I'm honest, I didn't. I just literally started out. I had no insurance, and I didn't really know that you had to have, really, for just like for models. So I was quite honest, and I said, no, I don't. But she went and started a no-win, no-fee against me. I got a letter from the solicitors. I was open and honest with them. I said, I don't have insurance anyway. Your client is an absolute liar. I've got messages. Thank God I screenshotted everything.
Yeah.
She was in A&E. She'd seen an ophthalmologist. She had a massive eye infection. She had all of these things going on. So what is it? Because you've sent me a solicitor's letters saying that she'd been to the pharmacist and got eye drops. So you can't lie to the solicitor, because you have to actually provide factual evidence. So the case was dropped against me, and I learnt my lesson. I now have insurance. I have everything in place, and everything is legit and above board.
Have you got any advice that you would give to someone starting in the same industry?
Do your research.
Get insurance.
Get insurance, number one. Yeah. Liability insurance, and read the small print, because that was what had stopped me. I had looked into insurance, but so many different insurances covered different things. Some said you had to patch test. a must. Others said you don't have to patch test. If the glue recommendation is that you didn't have to patch test.
Yeah.
So I had them all there and I was reading through them. I just hadn't proceeded to buy a policy yet because I didn't really know what I was doing. So the only thing I would say is do your research. You know, there's some great online forums. Ask questions. Anything you're not sure of. There's great advice to be had out there, and it's for free. You know, you don't need to pay for this advice. There's a lot of people that are willing to help. So yeah, I think that would be like one of my first things. You know, research before you dive in because it's not cheap and it's a lot of money to get started.
I think we're going to let another guest in for the moment because he's scratching the door. So
Last question. Can you please tell us how a psychic told you that you was going to marry Jeff?
Right. So what it was is my dad, bless him, was unwell and he was in Queen's Hospital in London and he was going to have a brain surgery. He had 3 brain aneurysms and he was going down for a life-saving operation. So me and Mum were there. It was a traumatic time. Like I thought I was going to lose him. I didn't think he was going to make it, to be honest. Anyway, he had the surgery, successful. He didn't go into a coma, which they said that they thought he would do, and he was in intensive care. So me and Mum were sitting with him in intensive care, and he had this nurse. Her name was Petra, a really, really nice lady. She kept asking him questions. Hello, sir, do you know what your name is? And he was like, yeah. So he said what his name is. Do you know what your date of birth is? Do you know who the Queen is? And, it's repetitive.
Yeah.
Every 20 minutes to half an hour, they ask these questions within the first 24 hours of being in intensive care. So when he gave his date of birth, she turned around and said, oh, you've got really good numbers. So I said, what do you mean? So she said, oh, I studied, I think it was like monkeyism and some kind of tarot reading thing abroad that she was really interested in. So she starts reading off what my dad's like. You're this is the person, you're that. And she was pretty much bang on. So I was loving that. Yeah, so I said, oh, really? I said, well, my birthday is what my birthday is. So what can you tell me about me? So she starts going in saying to me, you're loving, you're loyal, you're fiery. She explains my character to a T, but she picked up on something that happened in my past. And she predicted the timeline it happened. She predicted that that's where my heart was broken and never recovered. And she predicted that the girl's dad was in prison. And I was like, wow, how the hell would you have known that? She picked up on some deep shit that no one should know.
Yeah.
So I was then intrigued. So I then gave her my them partners' dates. And she was like, oh no, this is not the one for you. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah. She said, would you like a reading? And I was like, yeah, we become really close and really chatty. She said, come back tomorrow. And in my lunch break, I will give you a reading. Now, we're talking about a neighing, like, she was a nurse. Like, she was an intensive care nurse, really high up. And she, I don't know what it was. She said there was something about me. And we met up for coffee the next day and she gave me a reading. Boy, what she said to me in this reading, she picked up on stuff that had happened between me and my partner at that time. She confirmed some of the suspicions I had. And then she just said to me, you're at a crossroads in life. She said to me, you can either free yourself from the person you are with now and take the left turn. This is going to lead you to someone who's been waiting for you a long time. He's been waiting, he's seen you, and he's waiting. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, he's married, not with his partner. There's 2 children. She said, but he fell in love with you when he saw you. Basically, he knew there were strong feelings there and he's been waiting. Or you can choose to stay on the road that you're at. I was like, wow, this is heavy shit.
Yeah.
So bearing in mind the partner I was with had just proposed to me 2 months prior. I had this big 2-carat engagement ring and blah, blah, blah. But it played on my mind and it stayed with me. I come back from the hospital that day, and I ended up having an argument with my then partner. I won't go into detail, but something just, I don't know, it just clicked, and I was like, I took my ring off. I said, I don't want to be with you anymore. And he was like, what? I was like, I don't want to be with you anymore. It's done for me.
Yeah.
So I gave him back his ring. I think he thought I was joking. And he was like, no. I was like, no, I was adamant. I didn't want to be with him no more. 2 weeks passed. And so backtracking a little bit, Sofia was at school with someone that I went to school with, their dad. And she came out of school.
I remember this. This was bad. Let me just cut into this story, because when you think about it, this is actually fucked up. So basically, when I was at school, I came home one day, and I think this makes it weirder that the psychic said it, because the way that it happened was just so weird. Didn't she say he would have 2 sons as well?
2 sons,
yeah. So in my form at school, there was a boy, and I hated him, and he was so horrible to me, because you had the burger van at the time, and he used to say, how much is a burger? And I used to get well embarrassed. So I'd come home and like said to my mum, there's this boy, he's being horrible to me. And then you happen to know his dad. And then...
Yeah, so I said, right, I'm going to phone his dad. I know his dad. So I phoned up. He never answered. Then he called back. It was like, sorry, I had a missed call from you. And he knew my partner because he'd done a bit of work on his house. And I was like, can you have a word with Riley, which is his son? I said, like, you know, he's making things hard for Sofia. And he was like, Sylvia's just been a little shit since, like, me and his mum split up. He's always in trouble, blah, blah, blah. And then he said to me, how's... And I was like, I'm not with him anymore. He was like, what? I was like, I'm not with him anymore. That's done. That ship's out. He was like, but you were engaged 2 months ago. I was like, no. And he was like, do you want to meet up for a drink? I'd like to be there for you, because Jeff used to come to my burger van and tell me about a few, like, you know, when he broke up with his wife, he struggled, and we got, you know, kind of close in that sense of friendship. But I never looked at him like that, and never... Yeah, just that never, there was nothing ever there. So he was like, yeah, let's meet up. So we met up, and that is when he said to me, I knew I wanted to be with you when I saw you 3 years ago. He said, but you were in a relationship and I would never have said anything or made it known. He said, and he got his phone out and he got texts up that he'd text one of his friends saying, I've just met the one.
Oh.
So I was like, how crazy is that? You know, and it wasn't just like he named me in the text message, so it was definitely me. And I was like, oh my God, could she actually be on something here? We'd been together. That was the 17th of December. We'd gone out on our first date. And on New Year's Eve, I remember looking at him. We were at a family pub, and his family were there. And we were having a little dance. And I thought, I love him, but I can't say that because it's been 3 weeks. I can't say I love you in 3 weeks. This guy is going to think I'm a Fruit Loop. I've just come out of an 8-year relationship, but I feel like I love you. And he said it to me. And I was like, oh my God. So we both felt it. There was just something there. It was something magical, a feeling that I've never felt before. And I'd obviously had a relationship for 8 years prior, you know, to Jeff, and had a couple of short-term relationships after my husband. I never thought I would ever love anyone the way I loved him, because that wasn't just a normal love. The love I had for it was what I call a sick love. It wasn't a healthy love.
Yeah.
It was obsession.
It was toxic.
It was toxic. With Jeff, I can honestly say I love him more and respect him more. I admire him. I'm his biggest fan.
Yeah.
He's my bestie. He actually is my bestie. So, you know.
And Riley, I do love you now. So I did hate you, but yeah.
You know, he's changed
and
my
Regan.
life. We changed each other's life. We saved each other. Both of us never thought we would find a love like that, and we have. And I'm grateful every day. I'm grateful for the person he is and the person he's made me and the life he's given me. So, yeah.
And that is why we live by everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, period.
Exactly.
Right,
Should
we're going to
we
have to wrap this up with the
skip
game. Right, this segment we're going to do Kiss, Marry, Kill. So,
Just move this here.
I'm going to give you 3 names. I don't even think she's going to know who some of these people are.
Come
Go
on.
for this one. That one's quite.
And yeah, you've got to pick whether you'd kiss, marry, kill them.
Right, go on then. Let's go.
Right, no, I'm going to freestyle this
Oh, go on.
because I don't think she's going to know some of these people. OAP.
I know.
Right.
I know.
Right, Justin Timberlake, David Beckham, and Drake.
I would kiss Justin Timberlake.
Okay.
I would marry David Beckham.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Drake.
he's never gonna see this. We maybe.
Well, he may.
He may. Right. Okay. And then we've got Leonardo DiCaprio, Johnny Depp, and Tom Hardy.
This is hard, because I don't like the other two. They're both no. Tom Hardy, I could marry him and kiss him
He's
every day.
fit.
So, yeah.
Sorry, Jeff. Don't listen to this bit, Jeff.
And I'll kiss him every day. And I don't know what I'd do with the other two.
Just kill them both.
Kill them both.
Okay. Well, that was Kiss, Marry, Kill. We will leave it there before my mum and Jeff are divorced.
You're number 1, Jeffrey.
So, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your interesting stories.
I have got a lot more celebrity goss and everything. I could dish some dirt. But
So, are you saying that there might be a part 2 at another date?
part 2, another day.
Don't worry, guys. Sylvia's making a comeback.
Might be a Christmas special or something. Get everyone on the pod.
Christmas
Yeah.
edition.
I think we should have a family pod.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Get Riley, Jeff involved. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you
Mother.
very, very much.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Yoda, we're trying to film an outro.
And that was it for today's episode of Boss Babe Breakout. Thank you for listening. Again, thank you for all the love and support. And stay tuned for next week's episode.
Bye, guys.